So undoubtedly for a lot of us when we got our Steam Decks, it was kind of a novel experience. I know for me it was a very novel experience. I'm the console guy. Switching to Steam Deck came with some new things that I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And now with the Steam Deck, I find myself gaming different. Not just different as in different places, but different as in my interests have changed. I would have never thought that actually getting console or a new device would shift my interests in games, but really what it did was it opened a window up into a library that I've never been able to play before, indies and such, but also closed and narrowed the focus because of the performance. Also, Skull & Co sent me all their stuff because I didn't want to rebuy it, and I said, hey, can you guys send me stuff? And I have a video coming out of all of it, but I'm just going to show you the Lodi after I'm done grinding my coffee. Whew. You'll have to excuse my voice. I am a little groggy this morning. I am indeed recording this very early, like 5:30 early. I have men's group this morning, and so I'm trying to get this done before I leave for men's group, which is soon. So the Steam Deck itself has some limitations. Talked about it, right? Performance-wise, it's not the most powerful. It's very, very impressive, but there are for sure limitations, which kind of narrows the focus, as I said, of all the games you can play, especially when you're coming from something like a PlayStation 5. But remember this. So this is their case, Skull & Co.'s case. This isn't a sponsored video. I'm just really excited about this gear. And again, I will be showing you guys the full loadout because this loadout also is mimicked on the Asus ROG Ally X, which I still have. So, but what I want to show you is one, they fixed their case. So now I use the Skull & Co case. I was using Tom Talk's case for a while, but now Skull & Co's is fixed. Had an issue, which I talked about. But there's these back paddle things that they add. And so, like, it actually gives you better grip. And so, of course, naturally the loadout is right here. This is such a great little, I call it the Glock loadout because it looks like a Cerakote upper. But yeah, anyway, so I'm gonna just lock this in and we can continue on. My gaming interests were very, very limited. See, I was a Nintendo Switch and PlayStation gamer. That was what I did. You know, had the Xbox for a little while, but that just was honestly more of a phase, Mom. It's not a phase. Anyway, the library in which I'm building out on my Steam Deck consists of some popular AAA titles, but also it starts to have things in there that I would have not really paid much attention to. Games like in these games also, this is another thing. These games also are very, very available elsewhere. I mean, on Nintendo Switch they're available, and a couple of them I have had on the Nintendo Switch, such as Sea of Stars. I mean, I have the Nintendo Switch game there, which I purchased more to have because I was so impressed by that game. But really, Eastward even, they don't have that game physically, but I do have the vinyl coming in with a special deluxe board game that comes with it. Very excited. I Am 8-Bit does like vinyl presses of video game music. That's what that is. It's a vinyl press of actually the game music. Pretty sweet. Oh, my chain's out. And this is like a dog tag chain that my daughter gave me, and I now wear it every day because, one, I've always wanted to wear necklaces, but two, my kid gave me something. She thought of me. And so, yeah, anyway, back to it. Again, Eastward and Sea of Stars, I have that on the Nintendo Switch, and now I have it on the Steam Deck, but it also triggered like, ooh, other games like this. I want to play other games like this, and some of them are just not available anywhere. Well, certainly not available on the Switch as much, but also just don't run as well. Now, Sea of Stars is not a demanding game at all, but I will not lie that playing it at 30 to 60 on the Nintendo Switch versus playing it at 90 on the Steam Deck actually does make a difference. I genuinely like to see more of the smoothness on the Steam Deck than I do on the Switch. And I had a question in chat the other night. I think it was last night, actually. It was a couple nights ago, but they continued on. They asked, should I get a Nintendo Switch now or wait for the Nintendo Switch 2, and then they revised it and said, should I get a Steam Deck now or wait for the Nintendo Switch 2? And I'm right now looking at my Nintendo Switch with the mobile pads on there. It looks great. It looks cute. It looks very fun and exciting. And I am like kind of heartbroken that I have almost no compelling reason to go and switch it on and play games on it, because I've finished most of the games. The Zelda Echoes of Wisdom game, which I've mentioned a couple times in past cups, it really doesn't interest me all that much. I know, sad. But honestly, when it comes to the Nintendo Switch, I've kind of hit a wall. It is my absolute favorite console of all time. It'll continue to be. Nintendo will always have a place in my heart. I mean, I have a freaking shelf dedicated to Nintendo things. I have this Game Boy for playing more Nintendo games from days of old. And so I very much so like Nintendo. Also forgot to put my rings on this morning. Switched from my rubber ring to my diamond ring. Comment below, how many rings is too many rings? Because I used to wear 4, and then someone made me feel self-conscious about it, but I still want to wear 4, so I'm just going to wear 4 right now. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, you wear 4 rings? Who are you? I wear 4 rings. I have these 4. A pirate, they're all kind of pirate rings. I mean, we're all pirates at heart. Shout out to Pirate Soft. You know what? I like these morning streams, these morning cups. I feel like I'm more scatterbrained, which kind of lends itself to a better cup. Yeah, I feel better when I'm scatterbrained. See, this is what happens before coffee for someone with ADHD, by the way. Before I have my coffee, my brain doesn't function correctly, right? And someone in the comments was like, dude, I thought you said you were going to quit coffee because it's bad for people with ADHD. No, what coffee does for people with ADHD is it calms the mind, which is crazy to think. It's a stimulant, so it stimulates parts of the mind that don't work well. And so I'm sitting here, no coffee, can't get through a thought in one go because I have all of these other thoughts running in my head. Anyway, back to the original thought at hand. I hope you guys are sticking around for this. But I'm genuinely excited to find other games. Like, I'm looking... So, the people who made Sea of Stars previously made a game that was kind of like an homage to NES-style games. It was called The Messenger. I would have never really known about The Messenger if it wasn't for Sea of Stars, 1. And 2, if it wasn't for Steam, allowing myself to click on the publisher, understanding that I'm excited about this game and what they're doing, and wanting to go and try other games that they have. I want to call it Superfish. It's not Superfish. The publisher is Sabotage. I really genuinely am finding myself gravitating to some of these more unique experiences that I would have, again, never even thought of because my gaming was more directed, I suppose. And so to also get back to what the buddy that my buddy said, and my buddy, I don't really know him personally, but shout out King David. He was talking about, which one should I get? And I said, the Steam Deck now is definitely going to do you right. You should go and get a Steam Deck. It's going to be awesome. You're going to have a good time. And Steam Deck is going to serve you well. Once the Switch 2 comes out, I strongly believe, at least for me, and maybe for you too, who have a Steam Deck already, I find myself more leaning into the Switch as the device that is going to grant me access to all of my Nintendo games, to all of the Nintendo titles that I'm not going to be able to get on the Steam Deck as easily, so to speak. Sippy sippy. AeroPresses are delicious. And also, Atomic Purple AeroPresses are the best. Gosh dang, dude. Full cup is going to be consumed so fast. It's so good, dude. So good. But when King David asked that question on Twitch, twitch.tv/JDXCoffee, most weeknights at 7:30, at least right now, he triggered a thought, which was, how am I going to approach the Switch 2? How am I going to approach this next wave of gaming coming out with the PlayStation 5 Pro and the Switch 2, and inevitably Xbox is going to release something. Although, is it just me, or is Xbox, kind of done? People are... leaning into PC gaming over Xboxes. I mean, Xbox released their 2 terabyte system with no performance upgrades. It's on all digital, and so essentially Xbox or Microsoft is releasing PCs, right? Like an all digital Xbox, it with a big 2 terabyte, like that's just a PC, right? Am I mistaken? It's just a neutered PC that can't do productivity things. I mean, I know that's shots fired. I'm not trying to be a jackwagon. Like, I'm genuinely not trying to be a jackwagon. I'm just saying, isn't that just a PC? Like, wouldn't you just spend a few $100 more and get yourself? I know that a few $100 more isn't going to get you like a real PC experience, but like, I don't know. It seems kind of odd to me to purchase like a 2 terabyte Xbox. Unless you already have a PC, I suppose. But seeing the way that the console gaming world is shifting, I mean, someone made a good point last night on stream. Again, you should check those out. They said in the 90s, because a comment was made about Xbox back in, like, why was the Xbox so popular? I'm like, well, in the 2000 to 2010, 2012, Xbox crushed, dude. It was the game, it was the system you had to play with friends. Halo, Gears of War, stuff like that, and other games too, Fable. This device granted you access to something special, an online service that was like stellar. They certainly were the go-to gaming console for that like 90s feel of couch co-op online, right? Nintendo didn't really deliver that, and PlayStation wasn't on board. So that way of playing was such an exciting way, but you know, it kind of dwindled out as time went on. And now that we're in this era of gaming, we see that, you know, back then we had trilogies release in a decade. And now it takes a decade to release one game. Just one game. And it's slower and slower. And the release of that one game ends up being, you know, an all digital deluxe version with all this stuff. And so a big push, as I'm someone who is more resistant to the digital, all digital lifestyle, I find myself, and it seems that with the Steam Deck or the Asus ROG Ally X or any of these portable PCs, it would be it would be contradictory to the idea of a analog life, and to a certain extent, it generally is. Unfortunately for us as people who are playing video games, DRM free style, like being able to actually own your games, DRM being digital rights management, having these locks on your games that are essentially saying that a game is a license, not a full product, is tough. They exist. It exists. You're able to get access to those files and those things. It just is something that you're going to have to really search for, and is more available on PC than on console, right? The games themselves do exist on discs, but we're finding as time goes on, certain games just don't come to the physical library as much as digital, which is tough. And as time is continuing to go on, we might not even see a full physical release of certain games, and I'm going to say that it's probably going to dwindle out even more, which sucks. Now, there are some big moves happening in the gaming industry, some laws being passed that are trying to counteract that, because we see as a populace that the all-digital future is, for lack of a better term, crap. It's crap. I mean, they can pull games out of your library if they want to. They can do all this stuff, and if you have the physical version, they can't do that, but digitally, they can. Now, the likelihood of them pulling a game like, I don't know, Concord. The likelihood of them pulling games that you've had for a while is low, but still, it's possible. Because you don't own it. I mean, Nintendo's a different story. Nintendo, you have the carts, and I think they're going to be the last dying breed of holding on to that all physical. But with gaming as a whole, unfortunately, the direction is all digital. And so for me, I've made the comment before, and I'll make it multiple times over again, partially because it's a point I want to hammer home, but also because ADHD, and so it goes on, that if I'm going to be forced to an all-digital future, I'm not going to release gaming from my exciting life. I'm not not going to say, oh, bye-bye gaming, I refuse to go all digital. Rather, if I'm going to be forced to embrace it, I'm going to embrace it in such a way where the people who have management over my digital library are a little bit more respectful. And I do trust Steam's management more than Sony, certainly more than Microsoft, and, well, not certainly more, that just sounded right in my brain, but more than Microsoft and Sony. Nintendo doesn't really get a digital library from me for the most part, just because all their games I want physically. And so that's really where this shift is happening. I'm realizing that, like, the games that I play are either Nintendo games that they produce, or everything else. And everything else, I'm realizing I'm playing on the deck. And because performance is a little bit lower, although the ROG Ally X allows me to have a little bit more performance, because performance is lower, it helps me kind of navigate some of those games. So, like, let's say, for instance, if I wanted to play a big popular game like Space Marine 2, which I have on the PlayStation 5, I got it in my transition phase, but Space Marine 2, if I want to play that, I would be like, oh, well, it's not going to run as perfect, so maybe I'll hold off on Space Marine 2 and rather instead try a different game like Core Keeper, right? And this is how I'm directing. Or, oh, I really want to play this other big game that released. Oh, instead of doing that, because it's probably going to be more demanding, like Black Myth Wukong, for instance, which I'm going to play on PC, but that's a different conversation for a different time. Rather than playing Black Myth Wukong on my Steam Deck, I'm going to go and play, Elden Ring, right? These kinds of decisions help me navigate through the video game space a little bit, and it's not to say that the Steam Deck or Ally X can't run some AAA titles, new AAA titles, because it certainly can. It's more understanding the tools that you have, right? Understanding the access that you have, and also understanding the necessity of buying better tools. I know that I've mentioned that I want to get a gaming rig, which I will in the near future. I don't know, hopefully soon, right? Hopefully by Black Friday I'll be able to build something out. But really what that's there for is to allow me to play off a few games that aren't going to run super well on the Steam Deck natively, and I could then stream it to the deck instead, which is its own conversation for its own time. Those are things that I'm really excited to experiment with. I don't have a super sufficient PC. I mean, I do have a gaming laptop, which I haven't tried yet, so maybe I will try. Gaming Black Myth Wukong streamed from my gaming laptop to my Steam Deck versus natively on the Asus ROG Ally X. Is that a video you guys would be into? Because that seems like a really interesting video idea. Let me know in the comments. This is an abrupt way to finish the video, but honestly, the Steam Deck makes gaming creative for me. How can I get this experience with the tools that I have? Which is exciting in its own right. And I know that there's an element to it that ADHD, because in ADHD, novel experiences are a huge part of it. Oh, this is new, this is shiny, this is bright, I want it, I have to do it, I have to, and it's exciting, gives you that dopamine hit. When in reality, it might just not be that exciting. I mean, I got really into manga. This is stuck, very excited. But still, it was primarily, I wouldn't have bought 3 full series in one sitting. Yes, all of One Piece, all of Naruto, and all of Dragon Ball, if it wasn't for that brain thing. Okay? Like, I would have maybe just stuck to Dragon Ball. But I'm sitting on 107 volumes of One Piece. Okay, a little bit sketchy. And also, how many? 72 volumes of Naruto, based on a recommendation. The ADHD brain is a powerful tool. It's also a very, very powerful untool. Us neuro-spicy brain people. That's from chat. So, yeah, I'm just trying to say that it's a shift in perspective. It's a shift in gaming. It's a shift in focus, too, right? But most of all, it is opening up a world of gaming that I would have not explored because I would have been focusing on the big titles. And now, because the big titles are a little bit out of reach at times, there's the little titles that I'm playing. And I am enjoying. Honestly, Sea of Stars and Eastward are 2 games I bring up a lot because they're 2 games that have blown my mind and are very much so impressive, exciting titles. So, Huge recommend. You should join me on stream, twitch.tv/jdxcoffee. We have fun. It's in the evenings, Pacific time, after 7 p.m. And I'm doing it a lot right now because I'm trying to build that up. If you want to, feel free. If not, don't worry about it. I'm going to edit this up and try to get it done before men's group. But I guess that's all for right now. So stay tuned for that gear video coming out in the next few days. And that Black Myth Wukong one. Let me know. All right. Play more and be kind.